For instance, there's a story a long time ago of a great king named Viswamitra who met a sage in the forest. He had brought his army along and he met a sage in the forest named Vasistha. This is a long time ago. And Viswamitra kind of jokingly said, oh, well, maybe you could have us over for dinner, right? His whole army, let's say a few hundred soldiers. And Vasistha, who was a great sage, all he had was his cow, whose name was Kamdenu, wish-fulfilling cow. And Sage Vasistha said, surely I will have you, O King Viswamitra. Your whole army can settle here for the night and we can have all dinner together. And Viswamitra said, well, how are you going to serve all these people? And he's kind of like in his mind thinking this is impossible. And said, Vasistha said, don't worry about that. I'll take care of everything. So the whole army sat down around this ashram, humble abode in the forest, because Vasistha had pretty much nothing except for his cow and a few disciples. And then the wish-fulfilling cow arranged a whole sumptuous banquet of foods. And as Viswamitra sat down with his fellow soldiers to eat, he was in awe, and he thought to himself, how is it possible that this simple hermit could provide foods that are even better than the foods I serve in my own palace? And so he thought to himself, I must get this wish-fulfilling cow. I'm going to get it for myself. And so there ensued a great battle in which Viswamitra tried to capture Vasistha's wish-fulfilling cow. And it ended up that the cow, kind of multiplied itself and fought the king, Viswamitra, and ended up defeating all the soldiers. And then Viswamitra, the great king, had an epiphany. And he thought to himself, if this simple sage could be so much more powerful than I am, I being the most powerful king, then I'm going to be like him. And so Viswamitra renounced, and he left his kingdom and studied under Sage Vasistha. And with intense study, Viswamitra too became a great sage. One could say that in these satsangs here and now, we are sages in training. A sage is simply one who has controlled his mind, his or her mind. If you do not have control over your mind, you are at the mercy of your mind. Your mind will whip you around your entire life, making you sad and happy, sad and happy. And you will experience a grand roller coaster that will be primarily either suffering or blah. If you want to continue to live a life of blah, be my guests. Those people who wish to come with me and discover that world of bliss which I am speaking of, then join me now.